There you are again. Wow. I'm thrilled to see you this morning. We have a marvelous topic, one of many that we're going to explore, all having to do with abundance and the awareness of abundance, of infinite, lavish abundance in our lives. And we started last week with holding the vision for such an abundance. And I'm using, for those of you that may not have been with us as we started this, David Owen Ritz's Keys to the Kingdom, hence the key. And what is the kingdom? The kingdom is the field of possibilities, of endless possibilities that we live in, breathe in, have our being in, and that are all around us and in and through us. And so with this material, which I find quite rich, is the opportunity to take a few keys, if you will, and open up that kingdom, or the greater awareness we have of that kingdom of God, of that kingdom of infinite possibilities. So what we've been exploring, and we started last week, was holding a vision for that. In other words, really constructing a vision for our lives that's based on a belief in abundance, a knowing of abundance in our lives. It's more than a belief, it's a knowing. And you say, so what's the difference between a belief and a knowing? Well, we're going to get into beliefs in just a minute, but a knowing is when you say to yourself, I know what I know that I know. And it usually comes most often in your heart. It is one of those core beliefs or understandings, I'll say that, better word, where you know what you know, and you know it in your heart. You don't necessarily know it intellectually. You may know it intellectually, but you absolutely know it in your heart. And when someone tries to say to you, oh no, come on, you don't waver, you don't feel the least bit less than. You simply say, I know what I know. So that's a knowing, that's an understanding. And when we know, we are able to move forward in the field of awareness, of abundance, to a higher level. Some of us, however, have what we call a limiting set of beliefs. And that limiting set of beliefs actually does that. It limits us in our ability to understand that we can always move forward, we can always come up higher, because Spirit is always creating. Spirit is creating, 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 always more, always going to the next level. And since we have, logically, if you follow our principles, Spirit, we are expressions, individualized expressions of Spirit, we, in our vision, will always go as high as our vision. We will never go beyond that unless we create a new vision, a new awareness. So this morning what I'd like to talk about is creating and building an actual new awareness of how you come at life. And before we can actually get into that, we must understand that every one of us has a set of beliefs that we have either learned from parents or culture, or that we have created ourselves. And we are absolutely positive that those beliefs are right on point. And we live our lives based on those beliefs. And very often those beliefs are very limiting. But we think of them as being reality. They're our reality. They're our beliefs. Therefore they are. And they're mine. So what I'm asking you to do this morning is to take a look at the beliefs that you hold and see how those beliefs may be limiting your understanding, your greater awareness of Spirit's vision for you in life, in love, in it all. And when you say to me, well, I'm not sure I even know what those beliefs are, I would agree with you. Most of us form beliefs unconsciously. We live them based on the fact that they are our reality. But we don't ever often go back and examine those beliefs because we're not always consciously aware we hold those beliefs or that system of beliefs. What I'm going to do with you now is just walk you through what is called an anatomy of a belief. If you have an anatomy of belief, you start with a limit. This is a limiting belief, excuse me. It's largely unconscious. So here's one for you. The good things in life are not available to me. That's the thought. If you add further thoughts to that belief thought, you can say, nothing ever seems to work out for me. Spiritual people shouldn't want material things. That's always a good one. There's never enough to go around. I grew up with that one. Maybe some of you did. I must not deserve the good things others have. So there you have the limiting belief and the thoughts associated with that belief that there's never enough. What we do then is on those thoughts, we then add feelings and emotions which come out like the following: fear, worry, frustration, anger, jealousy, hopelessness, and helplessness. And on top of the feelings and the emotions and the thoughts, then our speech and our behavior, we add into that. Speech such as, I knew this would happen. I could never afford such a thing. That's only for rich people. Some people have all the luck. Or didn't I tell you things wouldn't work out? And then the behavior. Our behavior then starts to exemplify, along with our speech, the limiting belief and thought that we have. And the behaviors can be performing below our true ability, withholding, giving, and sharing, avoidance of savings and investment, and fearful reactions to unforeseen expenses. Now, that's the anatomy of a limiting belief, and you can hear from some of those, that just creeps up on you. Well, yeah, I've been kind of saying those things a lot, but I didn't realize I was saying them or behaving in such a manner. And then I've had people say to me, no, I'm not going there. I believe that. I believe there's not enough to go around. Look at the world. There's not enough to go around. When you have a belief like that, which is limiting, it doesn't allow for the possibilities of the infinite field in the kingdom of God. It simply shuts down all the possibilities based on our own belief system, which we have created, which can be limiting. You see, we often talk about, the limitless possibilities of God. That's what we do. We talk about them. And then we get into this whole, I call it a mental match of the facts versus the reality or the truth. So what can set us free from limiting beliefs? It's the truth. Capital T. You know this. You've heard this many, many times. The question now is, are you willing to actually put the rubber to the road, elbow to the wheel, and build a new awareness of the truth being first and foremost in all of your actions, your speech, and your thoughts? The truth coming first. Because you see, we talked about this last week. A greater idea, the truth, will always, always help a lesser idea, our humanity and our limiting beliefs, dissipate. But very often we will spend that time in the limiting belief and then go to truth when the limiting belief has now pinched us to the point where we can't move, we can't breathe, and we don't know what to do next. So what this concept does is it talks to you, the material talks about moving beyond your limiting beliefs. By knowing in your heart, in your new awareness, knowing, I said, not believing, the truth of abundance. That abundance is everywhere present. And there are 7 truths that I'll go over with you. But right now I would like you to just kind of mentally and in your heart take the concept of understanding that when we go and we say, I'm going to build a new awareness, we are literally talking about a construct in our minds and in our hearts that embraces knowing God is our source and that abundance is everywhere present. And so that requires us to simply say, the facts are this. The truth with a capital T. The spiritual reality is this. And the spiritual reality, the T with the capital, truth with the capital T, I am going to hold first and foremost in my mind and in my heart. And I know this is very, very difficult work. You see, we can sit here and you can hear me, I can hear me, but are you knowing it in your hearts? And that's the work. That's the spiritual work of really, as we say, putting God first in all things. We in Unity and New Thought have talked about the truth with a capital T since the beginning. It's not a new concept. What I'm asking you to do is to actually build an awareness of that concept that you own, that you don't just give lip service to, that you own and that you live. And I am saying to you, it is difficult, it takes work, and it takes practice. But what we have to do, is really take a look at when we start confusing facts with the truth. And what I'm asking you to do is see beyond the facts, not to discount them. When I say to you, there's enough in this world and more than enough for everyone. And it's been said to me, well, that's fine, I hear you, but what about all the folks that don't have enough? If you look beyond the facts, and no one is disputing the facts, the reason we think folks don't have enough is because we ourselves maybe are not practicing the truth that there is plenty of abundance for all. The fact may be we do not see that. It does not appear so in our limited belief system and our limited sense of reality with a small r. We can't see it. We can see the lack. We can see the limitation. It's there, it's fact. I am talking to you about spiritual truth. And when you can see the truth, that God is in all things, there is abundance in all and everywhere, if you can see that. But you see, what happens is very often we get into this mental match of saying, I can't see it. It's just not there. I see the lack. What you then have done is put into the universe, into your belief system, into your speech and your behavior, I see the lack. And that becomes your small truth, your limiting belief. I'm asking you not to dispute. The fact may be persons don't have enough, quote unquote. That's the fact. The truth is everyone, everywhere has all that they need. God is our source in all things. And I can see and have seen it takes time for that to really become a knowing, an understanding, a truth of our being. So please give yourself some ease in this one. Take time. Know that it takes work and it takes a consciousness and awareness. So what you are doing as you move forward is you're literally building a new awareness of the abundance that you have in your life. A new awareness, not the old awareness that you may have from childhood or the old awareness of an old understanding of unity principles, an old understanding of new thought. You may have thought you knew, but you really didn't know. It became an esoteric exercise. Of course I know that. You don't have to tell me that, Rev Sandy. I can tell you all the truths. I'm sure that you can. It's not in the telling of the truth, it's in the living of the truth. And that's where the heart comes in. Are you truly living from your heart in all things? And here's the 7 truths, and I'll bring them up quickly. And quickly because I know there's some of you that like to count. Some of you that will pay more attention to the counting than the truth. So we'll walk through it here quickly. But trust me, I'll come back to every single one of them. The first truth is, and these are called the 7 spiritual truths of abundance, based on the material by David Owen Ritz. Okay, that's where we cut it down here. Some of this will not be any news to you. The first one is, God is the only source of our good. The only source. Now, we get the argument all the time of, well, but no, my paycheck is my source, partially, right? No, I said, God is your only, the one and only source of your abundance. Things like paychecks are channels of that abundance. But God is the only source. God is in all. In the paycheck, in the pension, in the investments, in whatever you want to look at. God is in it all, and those are merely channels of the abundance of God. So the truth principle is, God is my one and only source. Think about that. See if you can own that in your heart. The second truth is abundance is a here and now reality. And this is where the little mental match comes in when we talk about facts and truth. The truth statement of abundance is here and now reality. You have abundance as you sit in those seats, here and now. Some of you may say, oh my goodness, you think so? I don't have anything in the checking account and the rent's due. I don't think so, Reverend Cindy. Those are facts, not to be disputed. Rent coming, no money in the checking account. We are talking about spiritual abundance and a consciousness of abundance. You have to choose whether you're going to adopt that higher level of awareness in what you do and how you live your life. And that's what this material is all about. So the truth is, facts change. Facts change. Facts happen in a local setting. The truth never changes. It's always constant. And the truth principle is abundance is here and now. Your local expression, experience of the facts is local. It is not a worldwide universal truth. Please try and remember that. And I know this is difficult material. 3, abundance is inexhaustible. Do you believe that abundance is inexhaustible? Do you understand that because Spirit is constantly creating, constantly moving from the invisible to the visible, the creation goes on and on and on. And it goes on in us as well, because we are individualized expressions of Spirit. Therefore, it's inexhaustible. Know that, and I read this to you, whatever you give away in faith and trust and with a joyous heart will return to you somewhere, somehow, sometime. We know that is the law of spiritual circulation. Spiritual circulation. You all know that. 4th truth, God is meeting you in every need at every moment according to your own acceptance. And your level of acceptance is based on 2 things: what you give and how you give it. We like to give things. We don't always give with the heart. We may give out of obligation. We may give because it's somebody's birthday or it's Christmas, but there's no heart in it. It's an obligation. It's just time to do that. You may give some of your time volunteering. Is your heart there, or are you standing there congratulating yourself because you're volunteering today? There's no heart in that. Or are you receiving something from someone, but you can't quite get your heart in it? It's like, oh, well, thank you very much. I'm so glad to have that. No. How are you accepting that goodness? How are you receiving that? So your level of acceptance is dependent upon what you give to life and how you give it. And my question overall to you is, are you givers to life? Do you get out of bed in the morning giving to life? Or are you waiting for the other shoe to drop? Are you making a list of what could possibly go wrong today? Or are you putting your feet on the floor saying, yes, I am ready to receive? The 5th truth is everyone deserves abundance, and that includes you. Sometimes we get caught up in the fact, oh, no, me, I can't receive my abundance. That's just not right. What about all the other people in the world that don't have what I have? Well, start receiving and accepting the infinite, lavish abundance of Spirit. You cannot outgive God. Got that one? You can't outgive God. And God is constantly, lavishly, abundantly supplying all our needs. The 6th truth is your vision is your inner awareness of your naturally abundant self. That's why last week we talked about hold the vision. It's in the vision you have of yourself that you are naturally abundant. That's your inner awareness. That tells you, move forward. That's the creative urge. And lastly, your inner guidance will lead you toward the fulfillment of your vision. I think for these last two, you have to do what I call risk personal greatness. And some of us, and I have not always been willing to risk personal greatness. When we risk personal greatness, we step out in faith. We step out in trust that says, God is my one and only source. There is an abundant universe. It's lavish. It's here for me in all things. Remember last week we talked about the 5 areas of life: your health, your wealth, relationships, spiritual growth, and career or avocation. Those 5 areas. Check your temperature. Do it daily in those 5 areas. Are you living the truth of your being in those particular 5 areas? It's a simple exercise. It doesn't take a lot of effort. It's a simple question. And if you do it daily, you may be surprised at the answers you come up with, because that creative urge is working in and through you, and you are building a greater awareness of not allowing limiting beliefs to stop that greater awareness. Remember, the urge of possibility doesn't ever stop. That's spirit, that's God, that goes on forever. It's allowing that spirit to work in and through you that is building a greater awareness. It's up to us. Remember we said last week, God creates. The details are up to us. And that's our spiritual work. So I know that this is a lot. I know both of these have been chock full of things to consider, and as you walk away today, I would like you to consider the following questions. Do I know in my heart that God is the one and only source of my good, acting through many channels? Have I fully accepted the truth that abundance is here and now and in reality? Do I trust that abundance is really inexhaustible? Do I believe that God is already meeting my needs according to my acceptance? According to my acceptance, remember, that's how we give. Do I wish for everyone the same abundance that I desire for myself? Have I totally identified with my vision as the real truth of who I am meant to be? And so lastly, I close out with this. I have always been fond of this part of David's work. Just practice not knowing. Get out of the way. Just simply get out of the way. And you don't need to know anything. Practice not knowing. Practice being with Spirit. To be in the mystery. You don't have to answer all the questions, but you do have to be mindful. There are questions for you to consider. Please, get out of the way.